Is it actually embarrassing to have a boyfriend? When that headline first appeared in Vogue, the internet did what the internet does best. It lost its collective mind. Some people saw it as evidence of a rising female supremacy movement. Others dismissed it as one person's bitter opinion piece, trying to drag everyone else to their lonely patch of grass just so they wouldn't feel so alone there. But here's where things get interesting. What if neither of those reactions captured what was actually happening? The article, written by Chanté Joseph, wasn't some anti-male manifesto. It was something far more fascinating. It was an anthropological observation about a curious behavior emerging across social media. Women treating their relationships like classified documents, carefully redacting any evidence of their boyfriends from public view. Think about it for a moment. Someone takes a photo with their partner. Beautiful moment, genuine connection. Then comes the editing process. Crop here, blur there, strategic positioning of a coffee cup to obscure a face. What's being protected, and from whom? This phenomenon has a name now, the soft launch. It's like those movie trailers that reveal almost nothing about the actual plot. A mysterious hand holding a drink, a shadow in the background. Just enough evidence to suggest someone exists, but never enough to confirm their identity. It's relationship ambiguity as an art form. But before diving deeper into why this happens, there's a crucial question that needs answering. Was this article actually the rage-bait clickfest it appeared to be? Or was there something more nuanced hiding beneath that provocative title? Turns out it was the latter, and that's what makes this whole situation so revealing about modern relationships and social media dynamics. The article wasn't arguing that boyfriends themselves are embarrassing. That would be absurd. Instead, it was exploring something much more subtle and psychologically complex, the way women are navigating an impossible tension between wanting partnership and wanting to maintain their individual identity in the most public forum humanity has ever created. Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Social media has created a bizarre reality where every relationship decision becomes a personal brand decision. Remember when relationships were just relationships? When showing affection for someone didn't require strategic consultation with an invisible audience of thousands. Those days are gone. Now every couple photo is essentially a public declaration that gets analyzed, commented on, and incorporated into how the world perceives someone. And this is where that soft launch strategy starts making sense, in a twisted, modern kind of way. There's this concept the article discusses called boyfriend land, and it's worth understanding because it explains so much about contemporary relationship anxiety. Boyfriend land is what happens when someone's entire online identity gets absorbed into their relationship status. Their personality becomes secondary, their interests become footnotes. Every post, every story, every comment section becomes about being so-and-so's girlfriend, rather than being themselves. Imagine spending years building a personal brand, cultivating interests, creating content that reflects individual personality and values. Now imagine all of that getting eclipsed by relationship status. It's like spending months building an intricate sandcastle on the beach, getting every tower and moat just right, only to have someone plant a massive flag on top that reads, "Property of someone else." The sandcastle is still there, but nobody sees it anymore. They only see the flag. This fear isn't irrational, by the way. There's actual cultural precedent for it. Throughout history, women's identities have been tied to their relationships, daughter of, wife of, mother of. Social media was supposed to be different. It was supposed to be the great democratizer where everyone could craft their own narrative. But somehow, those old patterns reasserted themselves in digital form. The technology changed, but the underlying social dynamics remained stubbornly persistent. Now here's where this connects to something even more fascinating about human psychology. The article suggests this behavior isn't about hating love or being ashamed of relationships. It's about survival in an environment where privacy has become a radical act. Every aspect of life is performed for an audience. Every moment is content. Every experience is material for engagement metrics. And in that context, keeping something sacred, keeping something just for the people actually involved, becomes an act of psychological self-preservation. Think of it like this. When someone plays a competitive video game online, they don't broadcast every strategy to everyone watching. They keep some tactics hidden, some approaches private, some experimental phases away from public scrutiny, not because they're ashamed of playing, but because constant surveillance changes how the game gets played. It makes everything self-conscious. It makes genuine experimentation impossible. The same principle applies to relationships. Constant documentation and public display changes the nature of the relationship itself. It introduces a third party, the audience, into every intimate moment. And that fundamentally alters the dynamic. But wait, there's a twist that nobody seems to be discussing. Some women who keep relationships extremely private aren't doing it to protect their sense of self at all. They're doing it to maintain their appeal to other potential partners. They're keeping their options open. They're maintaining the appearance of availability because being single or appearing single has market value in the attention economy. This is completely different from the protective privacy described earlier. This is strategic ambiguity. This is keeping a valuable trading card in mint condition by never taking it out of the package, even though the whole point of trading cards is to actually use them. And here's where men might start feeling confused or even offended. But hold on, because this is where the story gets really interesting. Men shouldn't feel embarrassed or insulted by any of this. In fact, the whole dynamic reveals something important about how to interpret relationship behavior in the social media age. If someone is proudly claiming their partner publicly, posting clear photos, being openly affectionate in visible ways, that's not embarrassing. That's the opposite of embarrassing. That's someone who has made a choice and doesn't care what the court of public opinion thinks. That's confidence. That's commitment. That's someone saying, this person matters more to me than maintaining some carefully curated online image. The only time embarrassment should enter the equation is when someone is being treated as a prop, when they're only shown off for strategic purposes, to make an ex jealous, to boost engagement metrics, to signal status. That's when the relationship becomes performance rather than partnership. That's when someone should feel concerned. But here's the beautiful irony buried in all of this. The article that seemed to suggest boyfriends are embarrassing actually revealed the opposite truth, that the real embarrassment isn't in loving someone. It's in being so consumed by online performance that genuine connection becomes impossible. The embarrassment isn't in having a relationship, it's in being so worried about how that relationship looks to strangers that it can't be enjoyed for what it actually is. Think about what's truly embarrassing for a moment. Is it loving someone and showing it? Or is it being so afraid of judgment from people who don't matter that authentic experience becomes impossible? Is it partnership? Or is it performing a fictional version of life for an audience that will scroll past in 3 seconds anyway? The pressure to maintain a perfect online brand, that's embarrassing. The constant need for validation from strangers, that's embarrassing. The fear of being seen as too much or too obsessed with a relationship, that's internalized shame that has nothing to do with the relationship itself and everything to do with impossible cultural expectations. And here's where the story reveals its deepest truth. Social media hasn't created new relationship problems. It's amplified existing ones and made them visible in unprecedented ways. The tension between individual identity and partnership has always existed. The fear of losing oneself in a relationship has always been real. The concern about how relationships are perceived publicly has always mattered. Social media just took these timeless human anxieties and put them under a spotlight with an audience of millions offering real-time commentary. So when someone sees a mysterious cropped photo or a blurry face in an Instagram story, maybe the first reaction shouldn't be judgment. Maybe it shouldn't be assumption about what that person thinks of their partner. Maybe the more interesting question is, what kind of world has been created where protecting something real requires hiding it? The soft launch isn't necessarily about shame. It might be about creating a buffer zone between genuine experience and public performance. It might be about testing whether a relationship can survive without the validation of likes and comments. It might be about seeing if connection can exist without constantly being documented and displayed. And honestly, that's not embarrassing at all. That's actually quite wise. Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Relationships that require constant public affirmation to feel real might not be that solid to begin with. The couple that posts everything might be trying to convince themselves as much as their audience. The person who never posts might be protecting something precious from the corrosive effects of public scrutiny. Or maybe they're just private people who don't think their love life is anyone else's business. And that's okay too. The only real embarrassment in modern relationships is treating partners like accessories, using them for content, displaying them when it's advantageous and hiding them when it's not. That's when relationships become transactional rather than transformational. That's when people become props in someone else's personal brand story. But choosing to keep a relationship mostly private, choosing to protect intimacy from the algorithmic hunger of social media, choosing to experience moments without immediately documenting them for public consumption, that's not embarrassing, that's increasingly rare, that's valuable. So no, it's not actually embarrassing to have a boyfriend. What's embarrassing is living in a world where that question even needs to be asked. What's embarrassing is creating a culture where genuine connection has to compete with personal branding strategies. What's embarrassing is the pressure to perform happiness instead of actually experiencing it. The next time someone encounters relationship ambiguity on social media, the soft launches, the cropped photos, the mysterious references, maybe the response doesn't need to be judgment or confusion. Maybe it can be recognition that someone is trying to navigate an impossible situation with grace, trying to have both partnership and personhood, trying to experience love in the age of documentation. And maybe, just maybe, that deserves respect rather than criticism. Because at the end of the day, relationships aren't embarrassing. The surveillance state of social media is what's actually embarrassing. The constant performance is embarrassing. The inability to experience anything without an audience is embarrassing. Love itself? That's never been the problem. It's everything else we've built around it that makes it complicated.
Thank you for watching. If you want to learn how to better understand avoidance, relationships, and psychological biases, then subscribe to our channel. Because you deserve beautiful relationships.